Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Mysteries from Beyond the Other Dominion. I'm your host, Dr. Franklin Ruehl, and today we're going to ask if Jack the Ripper was possibly a female. Yes, I said a female. Tell you about the case of the mysterious Bell Witch, investigate the possibility that an E.T. rescued Peter the Apostle from prison, and critique the 1942 mystery, The Dawn Express, starring Michael Whalen and William Bakewell, and cover other intriguing subjects, time, of course, permitting. But first, is it at all possible that Jack the Ripper was actually a female? Actually, this thought entered the mind of the chief investigator on this case, named Frederick Aberline. He first of all thought that possibly Jack the Ripper might have been a female, which would have given him or her easy access to its victims, all females, and also after the crime, such a female could have easily blended in with the crowd. Also, the fifth victim, Mary Kelly, was supposedly seen several hours after her murder, and the woman wearing her shawl was identified as Mary Kelly. So the possibility is that a female took that shawl after killing Mary Kelly, perhaps to confound the police as to the exact time of the crime to give herself an alibi. Now, one idea at that time was perhaps a midwife was the murderess, because if she did have blood on her clothing after these violent, brutal murders, that could easily be explained by her duties as a midwife. Now, you might ask, why would a woman commit such crimes? Well, the same as a man. Perhaps this was a misogynist, someone who hated women, or conceivably only one of the 5 known victims, and I stress there might have been a few more before they finally realized there was a serial killer at work, might have been the victim or the target, and the others just killed to sort of disguise who was the actual target of the crime. Now, there is a new study that has been conducted by Dr. Ian Findlay from the Brisbane Molecular Institute down in Queensland in Australia. He's developed what's called the cell track ID test. It's an amazingly sophisticated genetic test. It requires only one cell that can be up to 160 years old and can still generate a genetic fingerprint. Our FBI is using a test that requires 200 such cells and cannot analyze cells that are so old. Now, the case itself is about 118 years at this writing, so certainly this test could be applied. The question is, where would he get cellular material from Jack the Ripper? Well, there were approximately 600 letters at the time sent to the press and the police by individuals purporting to be the Ripper. Most of them were dismissed as from cranks or mental cases, but one letter, the Openshaw letter, was believed to possibly be legitimate because it contained information about the crimes that was not publicized. Now, what this scientist did, Dr. Findlay, is take a cell sample from the stamp, because whoever sent that letter would have used his or her saliva on it. And from that cell, he generated a genetic fingerprint. The bottom line, it was incomplete, but did indicate that there was the possibility it was female. Might have been male also, but he still keeps the door open to the possibility that Jack the Ripper was actually Jill the Ripper. Now, let's see one cinematic version of this case from the 1967 film Return from the Past, where the Jack the Ripper case is actually called the King Vampire case. Roll tape.
Funny idea. Really not in the mood for funny ideas, though. So, but suppose King Vampire is the King at all. You realize what I'm saying? Well, that's where we've been wrong. Well, everybody's been wrong. The vampire is not a man. It's a woman.
Great idea!
That would account for the slight figure. Well, don't you see it? I must admit I've never given it a moment's thought. But, no, it's incredible. No woman could commit such heinous crime.
That's what you think.
Well, I suppose you're right. Just a funny idea of mine. Oh, by the way, I dropped by to tell you that I've been reassigned to that case. I'm afraid I have to leave you. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tom. You've been a great help to me. I've appreciated it.
You've been a good man.
Bye, good luck. And I
Bye.
hope to meet again under happier circumstances. Well, thank you, Inspector. I'm just sorry I can't stay around to help you catch King Vampire. But I'm sure you'll be done with it shortly. And goodbye to you, Miss Clark.
Bye.
A woman.
Yeah, impossible.
No. Who's there?
What woman could tell a man,
It's simply
especially brutally?
Yes, Bill, I have a feeling we'll never know for certain now. And history will probably record that King Vampire turned out to be a large, embarrassing question mark.
Oh, look behind you, sir.
Oh, where was it?
Behind you.
capturing the vampire.
Okay, she was about to bite him because she was King Vampire. Now, in real life, there was one woman who was suspected, this one here, Mary Percy, who murdered the wife of her boyfriend. She actually slit her throat, brutally killed this woman. But she committed this crime in October of 1890, 2 years after the Jack the Ripper slayings ended. She was executed in December of 1890, and her body buried in an unmarked grave at Newgate Prison. My suspicion is that they have a record of where that body is. And even though this was 2 years later and seems not to be tied in, she has been named as a possible suspect as Jill the Ripper. I argue that they should try to exhume her body and subject her cells to the test that was conducted by Dr. Finlay. And I point out that with increasing genetic sophistication, we might actually be able to solve this case. Now, I want to point out that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who created Sherlock Holmes, argued just the opposite, that Jack the Ripper was a man who dressed in woman's clothing to have access to women and also to blend into the crowd after the crime. So there are many possibilities here, and each new suspect that's been presented has been done very cogently. It's a very compelling case, and if it ever is solved with absolute certainty, that will be quite a downer, because we'd like to hear about each new theory. And do you know that the Jack the Ripper tour in London is the most popular among visitors to that city? So if it is solved, it will be a disappointment. Although, now until next time, may the power of the cosmos be with you. Yes, yes, yes.